gentleman is not here tonight, so he's a pro, so you're stuck with me. So I won't do really good job as that, but I'll do my best. So the first item, before we jump into our agenda, I want to let you know we're going to be moving some things around on the agenda. After Ms. Valadares' session, presentation, discussion, Q&A, whatever she wants, we're going to have the Utilities Committee report and the Traffic Safety report, and then the Planning and Coordinating report, and then we'll go back to the agenda, taking in the order as it's written. So first up, we have community comments. This is for anybody who wants to address the community or the council regarding items that are not on the agenda. So,
Would that be me?
yeah, absolutely. That would be you.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Glenn Hoffman. Most people call me Bob, but I've been in Acton for multiple years, 30 or some years. I've owned properties all the way around the Acton Old Market was the home of my building. And I sold all these properties. But one property I'm still maintaining, which is
Your residence.
right across from the Acton Market, the new market and the other stuff. But just to show a little bit, you don't mind if I bring this up, but I'm proud of this kind of stuff. But here's the Acton Park.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the ribbon cutting deal. And I donated a bunch of boulders and work and the sign, the flagstone, there's just so much, but that was back in '03. Okay? And one time I had a bunch of acres, and what am I going to do? Oh, let's raise pumpkins. Okay, so I raised all these pumpkins. And then somebody had this great pumpkin patch. Oh no, advertising. So I went to all the schools, and I donated the pumpkins to them, and then made the fundraisers for instruments and stuff.
Instruments.
Yeah, has some musical, whatever it could be. So, this one, I get the phone call from the Lions Club. Ron Hoffman, Citizen of the Year from the Lions Club, 2003, 2004. That's how long I've been around here. So, I've owned this property across the street from the Acton Market, the new market, the bank, Brown Valley, and Smith. So for years, I've had my semi-truck, which I don't have anymore, had it parked over there. And recently I allowed the road department, because they were redoing our roads here, you guys are welcome to park your equipment on my property. No cost, no charge. We have cameras, lights. But yeah, maybe that's when the inspector came by, or whatever it could be. But I got wrote up for, I have this property, most of everything is not on it. I mean, it's empty pretty much. I have overseas containers that have my own belongings in them. I have a couple RVs that are parked on this land, commercial. That one of them belongs to my doctor, Dr. Garrison, and we know them. But this is the guy who saved my life. So if I can help him by parking his RV in a place I'm not making money for it when I have all this land, what's the problem? Obviously I have the problem. I got other neighbors that are actually here now, just showed in, because they park, I let them park the RV on there. And I don't ask nothing. If I'm there to help, I'm there to help. And I don't know what we can do, because these violations, and they're on all these properties. What am I allowed to do? What am I not? I mean, I've got, these are notices of violations that basically, they've already leaved my property. Am I right or no?
Wait a minute. Are these notices of violation from regional planning or public works? Because we've been told by regional planning that they do not put things on property, but public works and of these do. So there's.
It's signed by Dan here.
So it's regional planning. So there should not be a legal.
No.
There shouldn't be. I can't speak for the county, but.
But he's got NOVs.
Right, okay, there, so you have NOVs, but not.
Right. So I got violations on some aggregate, and I'm gonna use landscape. I don't have time, it's been too hot. So, we have some asphalt chips. And as you see, I've been using them on my property to help keep the weeds down, it's great. I had some railroad ties on there, I cut them off, so I don't have to hear the argument about it. But I got a little bit on there now, and I'm gonna use this stuff. But owning this property used to be zoned, not the commercial, the residential part, which I'm being wrote up on that part too. Used to be zoned C3, R3. 5 parcels would allow me to put 15 homes on there. And I never did it because I don't want 15 homes here. And so they lowered my zoning down to RA1. But they changed my commercial, or maybe because they lowered my value and use on that. Maybe do I need to change to M1 possibly? Is there a way, a permit or something that we could do that could have my overseas container? And I've got my neighbors. We're not making money on this. We don't need money.
Well,
I got property that's worthless, and it's in flood zone.
yeah.
You can't do anything on it. You can't even park your own boat or anything.
Right, to roll me up with my boat being parked on it. Hello.
But it's commercial.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what I would recommend is that, we can't take a position on this. We don't have to look at it, or it's not on the agenda, right? Because we're not. But what we can do is, and Jeremiah said, so you're back next week, I can ask him to put, if you wouldn't mind coming back to a meeting, we'll put it on the agenda, send us copies of your NOVs, and we can look at the property, look at the zoning, and have a discussion about it, and then the county doesn't always do what we ask. In fact, they almost never do what we ask. But we can discuss it and see what, as far as we know, the options that are there, if you'd like.
Well, I would like any help, period.
Oh, yes.
Because I have this land and I should be able to use it for something, right?
Right.
We have a Dollar General.
Did they say you can't use it, or you have to do a site plan?
I can't do it.
So you can't put a container on commercial zone property?
No. And the residential limited to and before. If these things were here before, they changed these rules.
Okay, so we had a resident on the ag property. I don't know anything about the commercial property, but I'm not aware of any limits on the number of containers you could have on your non-commercial property. Just because I'm not aware, it doesn't mean there's there. But
right.
we had a resident come up and she had several containers. She got written up and she was told by regional planning that it was the town council who was insisting that only one container is allowed per parcel, which is categorically false. We've been fighting that. So it's not in the Act of CSD. Containers are not even mentioned there. So I'm not aware of any limits on, at least on ag zone, for containers, and I have to look at commercial. So let's just, if you think that's okay, if you're willing to come back next meeting, we can't have a meeting, the next scheduled meeting, because of the voter election thing that's going on here. So it'll be the next meeting. Is that the 18th? Jeremiah has to approve it, but we'll recommend that too. That's okay.
Do you have a date for the next one?
The 18th. Yeah, there's a show November 18th.
We'll look at that real quick. Sure, that different day.
Okay.
And I've been working with Pam a little bit. She's been, looking things over. And
I think that we've had a lot of problems with industrially zoned properties that just put all this junk on it and it's not permitted, there's no, and even the ones that have a site plan, they don't comply with the site plan and violate all of those. So we, as a community, have stepped in pretty hard on those, but those are all industrially zoned properties. So that's why I'm not familiar with what the deal is with commercial. So it's rural commercial zoning on it. So would that be all right?
Yeah, anything.
All right.
And as often as you guys are all downtown happy, there's a problem.
We all know. We know your problem.
What's your problem?
Let's see.
I mean, next thing you know, you can't have, you know, I got old brothers, dinosaurs, all this stuff, I mean, you can't have this stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But thank you.
But if you could send us copies of the, if you could send us copies of the NOVs, is that possible to scan or take a picture and send it to us, or so we can see what the county's saying about it, or is that possible, is that, you can just work with him on that? Okay.
Look at it this way, it's already done.
Okay, well, she has to send it to the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Can I come in as a citizen and not on the board, or can I step aside, or what? I just got a couple.
Public comment is for anything that's not on the agenda, so.
So I'm gonna step aside from here.
Yeah, I'm not speaking, I'm no longer town council, Jeremiah's made me do that before.
Thank you.
I'm Pam Wolter, and I'm in the construction industry. I've been in the construction industry all my life, and a realtor. I'm retired, and he's got one of the nicest pieces of commercial property that there's nothing on it. It's all landscape, it's beautifully done. He had a backhoe on there, a skid loader, a couple other things that a contractor uses. Everything's neat and clean, it's all lined up. We have no idea, I have no idea, as a citizen of this community, and also my experience with regional planning and all the other people that I've dealt with for 40-something years. I have no idea why they've come after him. Downtown Acton, he's got several parcels because they were the little lots. You know, so his house, actually one of the lot lines runs right through the middle of his house. Because you remember those, I don't remember the square footage of those
Back in
lots.
1893.
Right.
He's got them.
That's what it
So
was.
he's got a total of less than 2 acres. So about 1 acre or less is the commercial. There's nothing on it. It looks like a nice piece of property, okay? So he's done a tremendous amount of work over the last 3 or 4 days, I guess. He moved his boat.
Moved the boat, moved railroad ties. I have a couple of excavator buckets that I use for my own. I've moved, I got an airplane that was off of, what was that? Yeah.
The Top Gun movie, but it's gone.
Back advertising, I got people from Florida came out to get.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So he's getting rid of, my question for
my dad is a task force. You guys might see the trucks going down to Lisa to pull that and up to basically the Oregon. That's a first. I've been working at the mine since I graduated, 15 years now. My dad passed away about 2 years ago actually, so it's just kind of been me around the show now. So just basically a quick introduction, just because I don't know everyone, I'm not always at the meetings and stuff like that. We had like I'll talk about it at the end, but we can do a tour. But basically, like the more not pressing, but we in 2010 we did a acreage swap at the mine. Within our boundaries, we swapped 3 acres for another 3 acres of basically 3 acres that were undisturbed. We swapped for 3 acres that we already mined. So we swapped it because we didn't want to disturb like the view shed that Acton gets from the mine. We put this amendment in 2010 with the Forest Service because they're the ones that mainly like monitor our plan of operations that we operate on every day. It got approved in 2014. And then since 2014 until now, we've been trying to get the LA County to basically just shake hands and say, the Forest Service plan looks good. You know, the plan, we'll use the same one and carry it over. So it's been like a 10-year battle with LA County to get them to agree on the same thing. But the Forest Service approved it in 2014. It's finally getting there, and they've actually scheduled like a hearing date for December 11th down in LA to basically go over the same amendment they got approved. The LA County people that we're dealing with, they recommended for us to get like we have a letter in the back here from 2002 when my dad first started the mine, and it's a fax letter from
Dick Morris.
Dick Morris,
Yes.
just saying that basically the ATC kind of supports our operation and they have no major like large us. So with that, the LA County guys were like, hey, can you just ask ATC to get an updated letter? So that's basically why I'm here, is I'm just trying to get you guys abreast with what's going on, what's kind of trying to transpire, and then see if there's any issues with the mine. And that kind of thing. We'd like to schedule another tour. We had a tour, I think, in 2011 before COVID hit. We invited anyone that wanted to come see the mine and tour and talk about everything at the mine.
That's unique. I'm just new to this area, but that would be unique to like bring my children there and
It's
have a tour.
It's kind of interesting that they mine there is a mineral product that ostensibly the tests have shown that when you mix it into concrete, it reduces the greenhouse gas emissions from the concrete that you pour. So,
Yeah.
we're gonna ask Jeremiah, because we can't write a letter to
No, sure,
sure. So you're gonna send us some of the
I'll send it
information,
all,
we'll
yeah.
post it on the website, the community can look at it, provide comments, because our role really is to hear from the community on these things,
Sure.
and then shoot that back to the board of supervisors, the public, to whoever. So, but one thing I also like to ask, so hopefully we'll get you on an upcoming meeting. You know, a few years ago, we had a lot of problems with some of the trucks. Remember that?
Yeah,
And I have not heard any problems, you guys
Yeah.
worked hard with them, and it's great, no JCREC problems. But I was wondering if you are in touch with any of the neighbors who were having problems before? If you know who they are, you can reach out to them, and they can write a letter saying, hey, you know what, they've been praying, you know, it's always helpful to have, because it was pretty ugly. a few years ago.
Yeah, it was, you know, if not everyone is familiar with it, but.
Well, I wasn't gonna go into details.
Oh, okay, well, I mean,
Because it's all fixed now.
yeah, it's all fixed, we really.
But if we can hear maybe from the people
Sure.
who were unhappy before,
Sure,
if they're not unhappy, that's a huge,
Yeah.
that helps us, right?
Yeah.
To do our job, so
Okay.
if you were able to, that would be
Yeah.
great too.
Sure.
What mine was this, and what was your dad's name?
There, just,
Oh,
yeah. I want to talk to you.
Let's talk to
you.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Are there any changes? Well, I think a lot of that was before service, actually, but now it's on the calendar. I can't take that long. Are there any other non-agenda items that people would like to talk about? Anybody on the interwebs, as I say? I don't see any hands, so. Sorry?
I'll tell you.
If it isn't, talk to Jim. Next, we have announcements and correspondence, and since I am the correspondence secretary, that's my job, we have a few announcements. First, big news, Supervisor Barber has graciously agreed to provide the community with a bus. Yay! To attend the upcoming hearing on the Humidor BESS and Humidor transmission projects. It's a really big deal, October 29th. We have enough people, they'll have more than half the bus, but we'd like to really pack the bus and have them standing up for a moment, which but, so please, if you can come to you are able to attend on October 29th, hop on the bus with us. We're going to go, and we'll be discussing it in detail at on the best items later on, but I don't know if all of you will be able to stay. So please, put the word out. We need bodies, and we also you don't have to speak at the board meeting, just having presence is important, but if you'd like to speak, you aren't sure what to say, we have all kinds of handouts and talking points that we can give you. So this is on the battery electric storage system, the Humidor project, with the transmission line. That's, by the way, I just looked closely at the site plan, and it turns out it's actually 545 megawatts, not 200 megawatts, or 300 megawatts, or 400 megawatts, 545 megawatts. It's huge. So please come and participate if you're able to.
Where are we meeting for the
Well,
bus?
the date and time,
We
the
don't-
time's gonna get nailed down, but we're meeting up there basically at 76.
Oh, okay. We can leave our cars there and stuff.
It's taking us to the Board of Supervisors hearing in Los Angeles. drop us off right in front. We go to the board meeting and share our thoughts with the board respectfully.
For the first time today. Something that we want to hear.
No, it's been, it's not taking 20 years. Well, no, it's going very, very fast. Yeah, so stick around to the best item of the agenda. If you want to hear more about it, because Ruthie will fill us all in, but I just want to make sure that was the announcement. We're gonna move on. The county has initiated a 45-day comment period on the zoning boards pertaining to cannabis uses and is hosting a virtual meeting on Wednesday, October 23rd. I looked at the maps, and Acton has a huge number, 80 acres total of parcels that can be used for any cannabis business on the list. Manufacturing, growth, processing, storing, sales, delivery, every possible cannabis use will be authorized on these properties.
So that's this Wednesday.
That is this Wednesday. So it's a virtual meeting on Wednesday, October 23rd from 6 to 7:30. Jeremiah's not here to post it on the website, but if you would like to know, I have a flyer, I have information on it. If you'd like to know more about it, please email the Acton Town Council, that's atc@actontown.org. I will email you the flyer so you will have the link, or I'll forward you the email that has the link in it if my flyer doesn't. So that's actually a really important meeting. It's going to be going before the board, I think sometime within the next 2
That's a
months.
single parcel, that 80.
And no, there's a whole bunch of parcels
Oh,
that can be used for this. The light industrial zone parcels.
Do we want that too?
This precinct, let me just be clear. In the entire county of Los Angeles, there were 2 precincts that voted, more than 50% of the people were opposed to the cannabis law, remember from 2016? 2 precincts in the entire county, and Acton was one of them. So this community spoke pretty clearly, we don't want it, but it's moving forward. So that is, if you're interested in that, please, we need people to comment on it, and get involved in what's going on with that.
Where does 80 acres at?
Well, they're all
it's all over.
over. And this is the lovely part, there's more properties here than in all of Supervisor Horvath's District 3.
Huh?
More land active than all of District 3. And Supervisor Barber's district has more than any other districts. It's like, it's all, whether North County is the dumping ground for
So
everyone.
out of the 5 districts, we could get the most of them.
No, there's supposed to be provision for, what I think it's on the agenda, so we'll tell you about it, yeah.
Okay, we'll tell you.
The Acton-Aldegosi School District may be transitioning to a new election system to select members of the Board of Education. The system is known as a by-trustee area voting, so you will vote for candidates within, you'll be broken down into precincts of the whole district. I don't think the final decision's been made on that, but they are, if you have questions, they sent a flyer to us after the last meeting, so I couldn't put it in the announcements, but so the school district is asking if you are interested and have questions, please contact them directly. Let's see. We also received an email from the school district superintendent, Dr. Zahakian, relaying a communication that he had with Public Works regarding the vendors across the street from Arco, who have been very problematic because they're blocking the road, they're blocking the sidewalks, they're causing a lot of problems. So he, and of course, Meadowlark is the school that is under his watch, so they've been trying to figure out what to do about it. What he was told was that Public Works could revise some of the signage in the area, so later we will talk about that. And CHP is supposed to respond to complaints about the vendors blocking the pathways in the road. So if you are affected by that, reach out to CHP.
There's several of them.
I know.
No, I'm not telling you.
It went from
On
1 to
Sierra
2 to
Highway.
3.
Oh, yeah.
Sierra Highway has a ton of them.
Do they have permits? Operate?
The county, this is what I understand, the county vendor ordinance only allows like a cart and an umbrella. So none of you seem to.
Yeah.
There's a, yeah.
Contact sheriff, not CHP.
Okay, well,
County sheriff.
they told
I'm
me,
the one who spoke with doctors, yeah.
oh, okay, well, so, okay, okay. Maybe it's because they're, because we've been told by Public Works that within 100 feet of the off-ramps, that's CHP, so maybe because it's within 100 feet of the off-ramps, I don't know. So you don't call everybody, call sheriff.
There's been numerous calls that I have made to CHP, and you just have a law enforcement, especially like my youngest daughter goes to High Desert.
That's the schools.
And not only are we dealing with parents trying to, take their children to school and ARCO, and now you want people to come off the freeway maybe and try to get a burrito or a.
Also be closed Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. But we will be open that Saturday. Next thing I'm gonna plug is we do still have the In-N-Out Burger Summer Reading Program going on. It's ages, I think 4 to, or 5 to 12. They can come in, sign up for it. They get free burgers for reading, and it's a great excuse for parents to take their children. So come do that. And then just 2 events I'm gonna plug real quickly. All of our stuff is on our website, lacountylibrary.org. But coming up on Thursday, November 14th, it's going to be at 7 o'clock in the evening. We're going to have a program where we're pointing the telescope up at the moon and have some stuff on the moon going on. So if you want to check that out, maybe come on by. And then on Monday, November 18th, right before your next meeting, between 1 and 3, we're going to be having a vaccine clinic here. So if you want to get your flu shot or you want to get an updated COVID shot, come on in. They do take walk-ins. It is first come, first served. And they have what they have when they show up. It's all public health that they bring.
Are you doing the shots, Jim?
Oh, that would be everybody's worst nightmare. There's a reason I'm a librarian. Yeah. But other than that, that's all I've got, unless you guys have questions for me.
Any questions for Ken?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so do we have anybody, well, we've got Chuck here from Supervisor Barber's office. We're at the point on our agenda where we talk, listen to elected anything. Well, we don't have the 29th. But
So, yeah, 29th, and it's important to get this, pick that time, so Ruth over there, she's fine. Anyway, we need to tell Public Works what pick that time is.
okay. Well, sometimes you do date certain type things on
And
agendas.
so, yeah, we got no way of figuring out what time this is. We don't know at what point in the meeting this item will be heard, so let's just show up at 9:30 and wait.
Okay, so we're ready to go at 7, so
Yeah.
we'll talk about it later, so.
Yeah, as long as it gets communicated.
And can you express to Supervisor Barber a great appreciation?
Really?
Yes, please, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't, you guys probably know this, right, I get another, motion passed on finding, improper use of mulch and illegal dumping, especially construction waste dumping. I think we're gonna have another motion in a few weeks where we're thinking we're gonna, allocate money to the sheriff's department and other departments for, enforcement against it. I spend a lot of time driving around the construction waste sites and.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, so, I think that's, and then you're already aware of the further moving forward of the legal cannabis ordinance.
When has that been scheduled for the board meeting yet? Okay,
And this hasn't got that, no, I think they're still having these things.
okay. Is anyone from, Carlo, you're from Assemblyman Lackey's office, is that right? You can unmute yourself, or is he some?
Well, this is so new. Yeah, Assemblyman Lackey's office, Carlo Pasal. I just have a short legislative report because the legislature session is not in session right now. How's that? Everybody's at home, everybody's running around. The Assemblyman is actually very busy visiting different events and districts and seminars throughout, basically throughout Southern California, because he's also going up to Kern County next week, which is not in our district. We have a good part of Kern County, but not all of it. And So you might see him running around. That's, but so far on the legislative events, he still has to show up at Sacramento. I guess the special session has not ended yet. And that's about it for everything. And in case there's any problems, in case you have any questions, please contact me or our office at 661-267-7636 for more information or possibly to get some help with a government agency that like the EMV or the disability group. All right? That's
Thanks,
about it. Any questions?
We did have a really big setback, and I emailed you, a couple of,
Yes.
a month or two ago, and Governor Newsom signed that bill that says to the Public Utilities Commission that they no longer have to consider cost-effective alternatives to $5 and $7 billion transmission projects, which that was devastating, because we as a community and as a council, we participated in these PUC proceedings, and that regulation, that provision of the Public Utilities Code is a major part of our arguments oftentimes. And now it's gone, and it's devastating. So somebody has to inject with the senators and the assembly people some common sense energy programs, because they're going crazy. And that, if you look at your electric bill, the most expensive thing on it is transmission and distribution. It's not generation. And those prices are going to, because of this, they're going to go up probably 3 or 4, a factor of 3 or 4 in the next 10 or 15 years. So anyway, maybe we can talk about that, but if that's all right.
Yeah, no, we look forward to it.
Thanks, Carlo. Does anyone have any?
Thank you.
Thanks, Carlo.
You're welcome. Take care.
Do we have anyone from Senator Wilkes' office? Okay. So next we have Deputy Martinez's report. You're not here in person this time.
I know, I spoiled you guys, huh? In person. I don't have very much because the stats are still the same from last month, but I did put in the comments Sergeant Trevelyan's contact information, his email, and his phone number. So he's our OHV sergeant. As winter comes, the OHV activity increases. If it's happening at the moment, call the station and put in a call for it. Don't get discouraged. They use, even if the regular patrol units are out and can't catch someone at that time, they use the frequency reports to direct their operations when they go out there with the dirt bikes and the side-by-sides and stuff to do the enforcement. So if you don't call, they don't see any hotspots, they're gonna go to where other people are calling. So just keep that in mind. And then I kind of heard a little bit about the street vendors over by High Desert. We did an operation last month now, where the health department goes out there. If they're licensed, which like the food truck in front of Dom Chattels is, they do a spot check at that time. If the taco guy with the red tent and stuff like that, they're not licensed, they don't have wash stations, there's no cooling or anything like that, so they confiscate all the food. They can't confiscate the equipment, and then they get issued a citation from the health department. We did that last month, and the very next day they were back. So I don't know how much of a deterrent it is, but I am in talks with the new local health department guy to try to be more consistent about doing more of those checks out there, and just hitting them more frequently so they stop coming around, at least the ones that don't have licensing.
So for the illegal vendors on Antelope Wood Road, that is supposed to be Sheriff's Department, right? Not CHP?
Yeah, that's us. I mean, the Senate Bill 917, or I think that's what it is, that the Street Vendor Act, we can't, if they're on a public road or right away or on public property, we can't arrest them or cite them for anything. Health department would come in and confiscate food, but Antelope Woods, if you go in more than I think like 6 feet, it's private property. And so we've taken, we had the guy from Argentina that set up there, that aren't, so that's why he moved across the street, because he was on private property. So then they're trespassing at that point, and if we have letter of agencies for the properties there, and so we could take care of it that way.
But can they block the sidewalk?
They're not as far as the sidewalk, but they are on private property as far as I'm concerned.
No, but when they're on the sidewalk, can they block it?
Well, there's no sidewalk there yet.
There's no sidewalks over there.
Oh, they are on the sidewalk.
Yeah, they're on the other side.
Well, they weren't last night.
I know, but he said they did, so.
Oh. I think that.
If they were last night, they might have changed, but where they normally set up on the same side as the school, there is no sidewalk over there.
No, right.
They're in the dirt.
He's talking about two different taco locations.
Deputy Martinez, what about the one on Sierra Highway? There are two of them, one across from McDonald's and one right below the 76 station. They are there.
Yeah, so that one is licensed, believe it or not, the food truck, the one that's like the red lettering, or the red two-tone or whatever. Yeah, so they did a spot check on them. Their license is current. They did like a food safety check and they passed. So when we were there, they're allowed to be there. They're a food truck. So that would be something that on Sierra Highway signage would have to change where, like it's got to be like 20-minute parking, or some sort of something crazy where they can't be parking there. But they're allowed to, they're legally parked and they're licensed.
How would we accomplish the 20-minute parking?
Well, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So look
But I'm
for
checking
it.
it.
Yeah, no, but look for it, 'cause on the agenda is,
Okay.
that's what was recommended to Dr. Sahoff too, so.
Orlando, he's got a orange van that he leaves there 24/7.
Correct.
I know that the truck is licensed, the taco truck is licensed and it passed, but he's leaving that van there all the time now.
I'll put a parking warning on it because it is current on its registration and stuff. But all he's doing there is keeping like napkins and extra plates and stuff in the back. It's like they're basically their storage closet. But there's not food being kept there. It's just like I said, like plates and paper, because we went through it and stuff, and they had like sodas as well. Things that don't need to be refrigerated.
Okay, well, we're gonna probably step into the signage soon, because it's a problem here. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions for Deputy Martinez? Thanks, Orlando.
No problem.
Okay, now, into the spotlight, we have Suzette Valadares, who is running for state senator. Senator Will, we had Mr. Mueller last meeting, and we invited both of them, and they both graciously agreed to come. So this is very exciting. So, turn it over to you.
Thank you, and thank you for the very warm welcome from my hometown. Yes, I do live here through an out-of-touch legislature. And then I'll give you guys a really quick update as we have 15 days left until you stop getting all the text messages and all the mail and all the TV ads. So a little bit about myself. I grew up just over the hill in a little town called Sylmar. My parents are from the San Fernando Valley. They were high school sweethearts. They met in high school. My dad never graduated high school, but built his first engine for a 57 Chevy when he was 15 years old. So really put his love into automotive, and he was a mechanic. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. She went to beauty school and used to do acrylic nails back when we used to perform those acrylic nails. And then she was a volunteer in my classroom. And I had this really amazing balance from my parents, where my dad was a conservative business owner and my mom was a JFK Democrat. So my dad taught me the value of hard work and getting a little bit of elbow grease in there, quite literally, when you're working on a project. And my mom taught me the importance of giving back to your community, of speaking up for those without a voice. And grew up with 3 amazing brothers. I'll agree I'm the favorite child. However, my first job was right over the hill at 6 Six Flags Magic Mountain, like it's a rite of passage for so many of us in this area. I was there for 8 years though, so it wasn't just a summer job for me. That would become critical some 20 years later when I represent them in the state assembly after their doors and gates had been closed for over 8 years during COVID. I went to College of the Canyons, Cal State Northridge, met my amazing husband. I know I have a lot of friendly faces in the room. I know Ava for quite some time. She's known my family for a while. Even Deputy Martinez on there, we've known each other since he was in the academy, so that was quite a while ago. A lot of my friends and family from Magic Mountain went into law enforcement, which is why I have this profound respect and love for law enforcement and for first responders. You know, when, after I went to Cal State Northridge, I started interning for Congressman Bud McKeon, and it was during that time that I thought I was going to go to law school. Thank God I didn't take that direction. There's too many lawyers in California. But what happened to me is my niece was diagnosed as severely developmentally delayed, nonverbal, and on the autism spectrum. And seeing her diagnosis, seeing her go from a little girl that was 2 years old that had not one word in her vocabulary, to being diagnosed, to going through the early intervention services, and her becoming a little chatterbox that I joke hasn't stopped talking ever since, was like watching a little miracle happen before my eyes. And I'm very proud to say two things. That one, my dad just dropped her off at Northwestern, where she has a full ride for the next 4 years. She's done amazing. And two, that experience is what catapulted my nonprofit career. I knew that I wanted to be a voice for our special needs community. I wanted to be a voice for early childhood education. And that's exactly what I did. I went into policy and advocacy for Los Angeles Universal Preschool, then went on to be executive director at Autism Speaks. I met my amazing husband whose parents have lived here in Acton at the Palmdale-Acton border since the 90s. It's when I first learned about dirt roads, septic tanks, and well water. And we had our wonderful daughter, and Charlotte, who just left, we just did go swap a room. You know the trek, right? We have so many families, like my husband right now, who drives downtown, comes home 7 o'clock at night to do bedtime routine, and then you wake up the next morning to do it all over again. When Charlotte was about 14 months old, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And those two things, becoming a mother and losing my mother, are what truly changed my perspective on the healthcare industry. You go, and access to healthcare in the state of California. You go from having a child and all of the bliss that comes with that, and even the care that comes with that, right? You have a doctor, the baby has a doctor, she has 2 nurses, I have 2 nurses, and to the end spectrum of life that, let's just be real, is ugly. And too many people do not die with dignity because we have a lack of access to care. We have a lack of access to a workforce to meet the needs of our seniors and those with terminal illness. And it was that, with this final thing, my brother moved to Virginia. It was supposed to be temporary. My amazing sister-in-law, who's my favorite, I will keep her if they ever. They moved to Virginia so she could go to law school, and they were supposed to come back, and they're not coming back. Well, my brother got to come back to visit with my mom a handful of times before she passed away from pancreatic cancer. And it was upsetting to me. Of all of the things, I leaned into my faith at that time. We received miracles that we needed, not the miracle we wanted, but the miracle that we needed. But my brother had to say goodbye to his mother on FaceTime. And too many of our families have left this state because they can no longer afford to live in the communities that they were born and raised in. And it's unacceptable. And that's what catapulted me running for state assembly. I was so blessed to have served the state assembly in 2020. When I ran, I thought I was going to be able to address wildfire mitigation. We did that. Public safety power shutoffs. We did that. Still a lot of work to do there. But the affordability crisis and the lack of access to quality education, all of the things I thought I was going to be able to dig into and hit the gas full throttle on that were put on the back burner during COVID. And let me just tell you that my background in nonprofit career, I felt, prepared me to be effective in Sacramento. Yes, I was now legislating during COVID. But in the nonprofit sector, you identify a community issue, you bring together community stakeholders, you talk about solutions, and you execute. And that is not how Sacramento operates, way more often than not. It's not how we operate. I rolled up my sleeves and I got to work. I worked across the aisle with Sheriff Kirk Silva, as Mountain had been closed for 10 months. We introduced a bill in January of 2021. COVID cases were exploding, not a very popular time to introduce a bill to open theme parks, right? But we knew that not only theme parks, but businesses across California deserved a roadmap for reopening. That's exactly what our bill did. Our bill got unanimous support from Labor and Health Chamber. That never happens, right? Where they're all on the same page. That bill became the catalyst for theme parks reopening in the state, as well as for industry across California. What I'm most proud of in my work in the state assembly in the 2 years I was there is I was a founding member of the bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus, made up of 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, 1 no party preference. Because we know that partisanship in Sacramento gets in the way of good legislation. And too often in Sacramento, they want to tell you why you shouldn't do something, what political opponent is against this, and why you can't do this. And we have had enough of that in California. We are at crisis level on so many issues because people are not willing to focus on solutions. It's what we did in the Problem Solvers Caucus. We brought together the experts to actually talk about solutions. Some of the things we were able to accomplish was the Diablo nuclear power plant. We have a failing energy grid in California. We don't have enough energy to meet our needs, which is part of the reason why our utility bills are so high. Well, we ensured, and through our work, that the Diablo nuclear power plant would stay open. It provides over 10% of California's energy, and that was due to close in 2025. That would have been a catastrophe. As a freshman legislator who was a Republican, I was able to bring millions of dollars home back to our district. I was told today, you're a Republican, they don't allow you any successes, you know what, you're not going to bring anybody home. We brought millions and millions of dollars home. I brought $3 million home for Bridge to Home, for homelessness. I served on the Education Budget Committee as well as the Higher Education Committee that ensured that colleges and canyons got over $62 million. We were able to move forward a lot of pieces of legislation that I will never get credit for. And guess what? I'm okay with that because we got it done. But at the same time, I was able to be a voice for important things, even if they still pass. For instance, AB 205. The reason why we're all frustrated about this BESS facility that's being built just down the road from where I first moved is because of AB 205. I voted no on that. And every single Democrat in the Assembly and in the Senate voted yes on that bill. Why did I vote no on that bill? I voted no on that bill because I'm not sure if you're aware, part of what that bill does is mandate that utility companies charge you electricity based on your income. So now they're going to have access to your income in order to understand how much they should be charging you for utilities. And the second thing was it took away local power from our town councils, from the LA County Board of Supervisors, and expedited projects like the BESS facility here, so it doesn't have to go through this process. And for us, that's unacceptable. We have kids that live here. We live in a high wildfire zone. We have people losing their homeowners insurance because of where we live. That we know that BESS technology causes thermal runaway where you cannot put out fires for days. Think about it. Along the High Desert Freeway, was it the 15 freeway, where there was that battery that was on fire for 3 days that emitted toxic fumes into the air. Now imagine a 500 megawatt system just down the street from us. It's pieces of legislation like this that Sacramento is so incredibly out of touch with. The other thing, we were talking about the street vendors. Another brilliant bill passed by Sacramento that gives our community really no true authority or input to stop it. And 2, punishes our businesses that have worked hard. You know how many complaints I get from people in Palmdale who have come from other countries the right way to build a business? to buy a business, that pay insurance, that are required to report to the health department, that pay taxes for the brick and mortar. Yet every morning they see along Palmdale Boulevard, obviously right here in Acton as well, these taco trucks come, take business and don't have to abide by the same rules. We have a fairness problem in California. And until we get representatives that are actually of the people and by the people and representatives that are going to put the cost of living first, the people that are going to put the safety of our kids first. One of the things that I'm so passionate about working on in Sacramento is combating human trafficking. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I have 12 nieces. 3 of them are 18, 19 years old. Did you know that other than drug trafficking, the most lucrative illicit industry right now is sex trafficking of minors? It wasn't a violent crime in California to either sell or buy a minor for sex until this year and last year. Exactly. We have a Sacramento that has emboldened criminals with things like Proposition 47, with AB 109, with realignment, with not taking care of our kids through saying, no, it's a violent felony to traffic, which is why I need your support on November 5th. So we'd love to open this up for questions. I went off a little longer probably than I was supposed to there, but
Oh, good.
yeah.
I have some things, because I do most of the writing for the town council and these PUC proceedings, and we've been we've been filing things with the Federal Service Transportation Board, with Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, DOE, PUC, CEC, and one of the things that's a real problem that I see, 2 things really. There are a lot of problems, yeah, these are the 2 we're going to focus on right now. When I don't like a lot of legislation that comes out of Sacramento, like I was talking about. But
less is more Sacramento.
But the few regulations that are good, like the one I was just talking about, in this one particular instance, is that there was a regulation that was passed that basically, it was by Bob Hertzberg, and it came out of the last just the session before he left, right? He's not there, or turned out. So, it said, let's see exactly what it said. It told the PUC to lower the approval threshold for certain kinds of transmission projects, right? And it wasn't unreasonable necessarily. And I went through the whole legislative history, and I know what the intent of that bill is, right? But then when you go to the Public Utilities Commission, they're the ones charged with doing this. What they're actually ruling that they're doing, and we as a town council are participating actively in that movement. And there's like 40 people, 40 parties, all the big utilities there, and they keep telling the PUC that what the legislation said is to do X, where X is you lower the bar on approvals for all transmission projects, and all of them make none of them required to look at cost and see if it's a reasonable thing. So what frustrates me and is angry, and what I want to hear from you about, Helen, is when you guys, the legislature, pass laws, the agencies that implement them don't actually implement what you pass. There's never any check from the legislature. So that's a pattern that needs to change. And I'm wondering how to change it, and will you change it? And to be fair, I asked this with Mr. Gamma as well. And so I'm trying to, it's a real problem for this community, because this best thing is, well, I'll just give you, tell me what you think of that and how we can do that.
Yeah, and it's not only a problem that we see with the CPUC, but we also see it with the California Air Resource Board. We see that, from my perspective, the governor and the legislature have abdicated quite a bit of their responsibility by giving these agencies an immense amount of authority and power and policy-making authority, right? So they're making policy decisions that impact our daily lives, particularly for business as well, with CARB and the CPUC, that put these mandates or regulations on them that make the price of everything go up. You know how many people I know that have went out of business? For instance, I have a good friend that had a crane business. And his crane, if you guys know, with heavy equipment and meeting some of these climate goals, mandates, they had, one goalpost, and then a couple years later, moved the goalpost to another goalpost. So we had these cranes that, $1 million cranes, weren't very old, that could no longer be used in California. So he sold his crane to a company in Texas who was opening up companies here and just moved those cranes to Nevada. So we didn't actually reduce the carbon footprint. The cranes are still being used in California. But it's just one example of an out-of-control authority by these agencies. I think the legislature needs to come back and say, no, we have a role and a responsibility. You can make recommendations, fine, but they need to be approved by elected representation.
And the biggest part, that's critical, one of the biggest problems actually is CAISO, which is a private corporation. But right now, the situation with the PUC is that whatever CAISO approves, that's what the Public Utilities Commission has to rubber stamp.
Yeah.
And it's $35 billion for the new transmission. We're going to be paying $2 a kilowatt hour within the next 15 years, I'm predicting, for our electric power.
And let me just tell you, as a member of the Bipartisan Public Service Caucus, I talked to you about some of our work, keeping the Diablo nuclear plant open. We went to DC to talk to the EPA about California's energy needs, because it's not, you can be in some very serious trouble here in the near future in California, and not just, we have a deteriorating energy grid, we have a legislature that hasn't taken an aggressive approach to engage with the regional component, which is other states, right? We could easily become a Texas in California, where we become an energy grid because Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, all of these other states understand that you need resource sharing and energy in order to meet the different demands and needs of your community, and that's not happening in California.
Well, but we've been, as a council, we've said the exact opposite. And this is another issue we talked about, is the way you build a reliable energy resource is you don't have it come from Idaho. And you don't have it come from, 1 megawatt turbine that freeze, like Texas did, right? And this legislature and this state is all in on remote generation, and they're to the exclusion of local distribution. And
so don't get me wrong, I have an all hands on deck approach. We need to be investing in multiple sources for energy, but we are going to have a regional issue, right? Like we can't ignore that and that need there. But I completely agree that we need an all hands on deck approach to energy, and we're going to need it from different sources.
Well, just as an example, CAISO approved the project, and the purpose is to bring wind energy from Idaho. It's $7 billion, but we're going to pay for it. And it's only 1,000 megawatts. It's going to be, do you have any idea, 1,000 megawatts for $7 billion? And that's not even that's just the transmission.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's no balance.
And so there's not balance, and things like, hydrogen. I don't know if you're aware that last budget cycle, the legislature explicitly omitted streamlining hydrogen from renewable energy, right? Because it's considered, for some of the environmentalists, like it's a natural gas. We don't want to use it. Like, and that we know, yes, it's expensive to develop any technology. But I know here in the Antelope Valley, particularly Lancaster, are investing heavily in hydrogen, and I think it's an important component of our future, and we need to look at multiple means of reducing the cost of energy in California. I get it. Like this summer, I was a little grumpy because I was the sweatiest I've ever been, because I turned my thermostat up because I get those $1,000 energy bills. It gets hot up here, right? We can talk about energy for a long time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But if you're elected, we'd like to have an opportunity, and I said this to Mr. Miller too, we need to talk to the legislators about energy.
Yes.
Somehow. So, and anybody else have anything?
Yes.
This is what my big gripe is about, is the homeowners insurance. Mine went from $3 $3,000 a year to $20,000. And that was State Farm, and I said goodbye. And they don't have insurance on my house because the California State Fair Plan, which is not fair, was $18,000. So I've called everybody that I can think of in Sacramento to work on this. This is a big deal to our community. We've got people all the time telling us that their insurance is being canceled.
Yeah.
And they have mortgages to have that out.
So, in January, I got a call from my insurance agent, and we're good friends. He was like, I got a message. He was like, Suzette, call me back, I gotta talk to him. Uh-oh. Yeah, like, so I braced myself at the call, and he's like, your policy price is going up. And I'm paying like $400 more a month, and I'm like, oh, thank God. How sad is it that I'm paying, about $5,000 more a year, but I was just thankful that I wasn't losing my insurance, right? There goes Charlotte's karate lessons at Krav Maga over here, right? Like, that is what families are facing, and I was lucky, right? I didn't lose it. So, first of all, we need a competent insurance commissioner.
Yes, we don't.
And we just don't. And he's a huge part of the reason. We had somebody with no experience in the insurance industry leading the California Commission, our insurance commission. So we got to get somebody in there that knows what they're doing. He's turned out, so that will be on the ballot in 2 years. The other thing is we need competition in the market. The only way that we reduce our premiums that are insane is through more competition in the market. I think I read, was it just yesterday, that all the state farms, I have State Farm, all state, was just approved for a 34% rate increase, and they just got a 39% rate increase. Well, there's not enough competition in the market, right? So you have farmers, State Farm, they're not selling new policies, and when there's not enough policies from different providers, then they can charge, they have to charge, right? If you have only a handful of companies that are taking on all of the liability, it doesn't pencil out for them. They're gonna have to pay out on all of that, right? We need to drive competition into the marketplace here. The other thing I think that we need to do and be very mindful of is the soft fraud that happens in insurance that we end up paying for, right? And maybe looking at ways to mitigate some of that, looking at more opportunities to give people who harden their homes more discounts, right? There are lots of things that's correct. So, and that, we need somebody we need more legislators in Sacramento to be pushing, driving competition into the marketplace to actually reduce the cost.
And they won't even talk to you about it. I told them I would take a $50,000 deductible just to keep the insurance for State Farm. No way.
Well, and they're not, now they're really only paying out and writing policies for what it would cost to rebuild your home, right? And yeah, I get it. Again, I live, Sterling Ridge, my neighbors over there. Which is the purpose of building. I get it. I get it, yeah.
How are we going to bring all the insurance companies are leaving?
Yeah.
How are we going to bring them back in? What's the solution?
So, I don't have insurance background, right? But this is what I do know, is having lived here, having served in the legislature, and understanding the issue. And this is, again, backwards Sacramento. In 2022, I passed a bill that would have required the insurance commissioner to convene a working group to reduce insurance premiums for residential, industrial, and commercial property owners. When they told me, Suzette, you're not going to get this bill passed. My staff told me that, right? They're like, there's no way you're going to get this bill passed. I got it through both chambers and to the governor's desk.
Any nays? So I apologize, I jumped up, paying attention to the agenda. What we're going to do now is we're going to jump to the Traffic Safety Committee report. And we have, which is something you later in the agenda, we have a presentation from the Department of Public Works on some studies that they've been doing. So I apologize for.
That's okay. I'll just, over here, I'm gonna share the screen also over here as well. So you can all follow along over there. We have a short PowerPoint presentation here. Let me just share my screen here. I'm keeping the microphone off because I think there's a microphone in there, right? So it's probably gonna be best.
Oh, mute this, yeah.
Yeah, I have no sound coming out of here before going in, so I'll just turn on my camera anyway. If people don't mind. See me here. And, okay, it looks like that comes up there. So here's our presentation. My name is Stephen Dykstra with LA County Public Works. Here today, I have a faithful meeting as well. And we're going to present to you about a couple topics: Hubbard Road and the speed limit that we're proposing, and Sierra Highway and San Diego Road. We're proposing some LED stop signs there. So here is our presentation. This is the first slide here. And we're with our Traffic Safety Mobility Division with Public Works. So the location for the speed limit that we're discussing is Hubbard Road here. It goes from about 1590 east of Hughes Canyon to Escondido Canyon Road. That's the entire portion that is maintained by the county. West of there, I believe, becomes a private roadway. So we don't have any involvement with that part. And there's also a gate there, I believe, as well. So the current speed limit on Hubbard Road right now, there's no speed limit on Hubbard Road. So when there's no speed limit on a road, it goes to the California state laws and determines what the actual enforceable speed limit is. And for this type of road, it can only be enforced at a 55-mile-per-hour road currently. So what we can do to sort of change that is we can do a study, and we can hold an engineering traffic survey. We could do a study, and there's a lot of rules in how the study works. So you can't just sort of set whatever speed limit you want out there. We have to kind of go by what the state law says, and it will allow us to set a speed limit lower than the maximum by considering the following: prevailing speeds, and that's basically like the speed that cars are traveling at. Kind of makes it a little counterintuitive to use the speed people are driving as a speed limit, but that is how the state law is written. There has been some emphasis in recent years to sort of mitigate that and allow ways to reduce it from there, but it still is a very large factor in determining the speed limit that you can set. So I think there's some reason for that as well. Probably has to do with, cities or counties or government agencies setting very low speed limits and then collecting revenue from the constituents or whatnot. It's probably part of it. So there's the tension there, but then there's also a push in recent years to try to, post more sometimes reasonable speed limits. So it considers the collision history, the highway, the traffic and roadside conditions, and also business or residential activity, pedestrian, bicycle safety. And so we did this study for this location, and pretty much we have the two options here. So the study says that the speed limit recommended would be 30. I understand that I think people were kind of looking for 25, but 30 is, pretty good.
Better than 55.
Right. So we have the two options. We can go forward with posting the 30-mile-per-hour signs. In order to do that, we need to have a regulation formally adopted by the Board of Supervisors. So we'll need to submit that to a board letter. The process takes quite a few months, so it will take some time before we're able to post this. And we haven't moved forward. We wanted to present to you first to make sure that you kind of are on board with this decision to move forward. Because the other option is, of course, to just kind of like don't put signs out there, and with that CHP can only enforce it at 55 miles an hour. So we've had a couple cases of like doing things like this. A lot of times it's like it comes back and it's like 55 is the unposted speed limit, but we can only post it as low as 45, and some people are not too happy about it, so we end up not posting 45 or something like that.
Well, we've had some accidents out there, so it's.
Okay, but yeah, these are kind of like two options that we have. And actually that's it for that topic. But so I just wanted to, I guess we'll just take questions at the end. I'll go through just the last couple slides here. We do have the other location of Sierra Highway at San Diego Road renderings. So this is a location where we had proposed to put in LED stop signs that I believe has been discussed with you before previously. And so you had asked to provide some sort of renderings of what this might look like. So you can see kind of around that stop sign, there's just kind of like little dots on all the corners, and it will light up at night. And so you can see we have some other signs proposed as well, some horse signs.
And that approaches Santiago headed towards Sierra, it looks like.
Yeah,
It's
right beyond the bridge.
Yeah.
Going towards Sierra.
It says north approach, but yeah, I believe this is a northbound direction, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you can see we have also, we also have some proposed curb ramps here. We don't have sidewalks, but we're proposing to put some sort of like some landing areas for pedestrians.
Like a rolled shoulder and then native.
Yeah, it looks like they put a little bit of curve there, and they're kind of just like putting some type of warning surfaces on those corners. And then we have a couple other renderings from the other locations. This is the other side.
Oh, so this is much better, because before you proposed a concrete curve right kind of in the middle of the road. You remember that?
Well, I believe that's what's proposed over in this area.
Oh, that's not there, okay.
This is looking south, so I'm not sure where you're.
Oh, I see, oh, okay.
But, and maybe, yeah, right, this is the opposite direction, so. This is the east approach over here, that's my cursor. And so we have, again, like, this one actually has sidewalk over here, so you can do a little bit more there, so.
So doesn't most of the speed come from Sierra Highway though?
What
So
was
this
that?
is Santiago, but the speed comes from Sierra Highway.
The people driving quickly?
Yeah.
We have the LED stops that we can close in all four corners. It's already a multi-way stop, so everyone has to stop at this location. So in this in this approach, we're putting in the signage you see here, this right lane must turn right sign, another horse sign. We're putting in kind of crosswalks as well to make them more visible. They're called high visibility crosswalks, stop bar well behind it, and then it says 88 after the curb ramps. So we're putting in the 88, we're making them as 88 as we can, considering that kind of like what we're dealing with out there. Not really like a urban setting. Yeah. And we have one more here. So this is the west approach, and it's going to also. They only provide us with 3, but I know that there is going to be a stop sign this side as well. It's just not shown in one of the renderings, but there's not a whole lot being shown on this side. So I guess they wanted to kind of highlight this one for now, because this one's going to have 2 stop signs, and this one is proposing they are proposing a raised curve here in between the 2 lanes.
Okay, so that is raised, because it looks just like it's painted, but it's.
No, the intention is that it's going to be raised, and I mean, the reason for that is if you just put the stop sign in the middle of the road, it's just going to constantly get knocked down. So the curve provides a little bit of protection there. It also can kind of like narrow the lanes a little bit as well. So yeah, it's a little tougher to speed into that intersection. You kind of, it makes it seem a little bit narrower as you're driving up. So.
I just have a quick question on that picture.
Yeah.
Would you have a sign further down the road before you really approach that stop and stop right there?
Yes, we do.
Meaning, no?
Yes, we do. I believe we probably already have them, but we typically would propose stop ahead signs and pavement markings in advance of the intersection on the higher speed roadway at least.
We don't, you do have one towards Crown Valley, it's a flashing that warning light, I think it says, on Sierra Highway approaching Crown Valley saying stop.
Yeah, that's, you're approaching a stop, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean.
In the bumps on the road.
We don't typically propose like rumble strips in advance of a stop sign. We use those kind of like for a little bit more unique, kind of unusual situations, I would say. Typically, you don't want to put those too often, because if you put them in a lot of locations, then they kind of lose their effectiveness. So, you know, we typically, a situation where we might put in the rumble strips would be more like if we had a uncontrolled crosswalk or a horse crosswalk in the middle of the road, there's no stop signs. That's a location where I've seen it put in. We're proposing those, I believe, in San Francisco Canyon Road, up in the Fort Copper Hill area. There's some horse crosswalks that have been kind of like they wore away. They're not really there anymore, but the rumble strips kind of wore away. We're going to be putting them back, I believe. But typically, you know, the visibility is good out here. You can see it in advance. And it's not typical to put the flashing signs in advance. You just put the regular sign. There's a sign that says stop. And I believe they're probably going to be like oversized signs because of the speeds. They're going to be larger than typical. But I mean, I don't know exactly what we're proposing in advance. I think the signs may already be existing. So I think this is to just kind of go over because sort of the LED stop signs are something that you probably haven't seen. So that was
Well, and we've been asking for them, so it's.
Yeah.
But I think the curb still is a little throwing, and there's, when Public Works presented this last time, we talked about the equestrian trails, how do we accommodate horses? I don't know, I guess that wasn't possible, or?
I mean, it kind of depends, like we have crosswalks here, so the horses can use them. I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for in this location, like.
Well, but the Maps Trail is actually along Sierra Highway.
Yeah, I mean,
Parks and Recs did, so.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times that's kind of more a conversation about it for Parks and Recs, I would say, as far as like how to accommodate the horses traveling in this area. You know, if we have, from our perspective, if we have like, let's say, trail on both sides of the road that horses use, and there's like a crossing in the middle, we could consider putting a horse crossing there if horses using that crosswalk.
Yeah, but that's never gonna happen here because Public Works has taken 100 feet, they don't use 100 feet, but they've taken 100 feet and they won't give any of it to Parks and Recs for a trail. And that's the internal problem here in Acton, so.
Okay.
Because, well,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
It's probably some other division of Public Works, I'm not totally sure of that, but.
Right. Are you in?
Thank you for having me, Amanda, with Tree People. I am the Santa Clara River Watershed Coordinator as part of the LA County Safe Clean Water Program, also known as Measure W. And you may remember from community meetings in the past that we've had, or when I've come to this town council, about an opportunity that we found out about through the Department of Water Resources, where they had a grant for residents whose wells have gone dry. And since we had been doing surveying with the folks in Acton and Agua Dulce and listening about the issues with wells going dry for the last several years now, when this opportunity came up, we went after it and we were able to secure those funds. So I don't know if Jackie can share that flyer that I emailed and the application link, but it's open now. We have an application. It's a Google form. It's pretty straightforward. We anticipate about 85 residents in the area from Acton and Agua Dulce who have wells who've gone dry to be reimbursed for monies that were spent between October of last year and September of this year. We anticipate about 85 residents will be reimbursed about $2,400. So we encourage folks to apply, and yeah, I'm available for any questions. Jackie has my email and the flyer and the application link. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Amanda. Thank you guys and Tree People. You guys are just an amazing organization for going after this grant. And I have to, Jeremiah's the one who handles the website. So as soon as he comes back or is available, he will post that flyer up on the website. He's at
Perfect.
And yes, and you said the deadline is December
31st of this year. And I also believe that Heather I think she put a physical poster up at the library, perhaps. I think if she hasn't, she's going to any day now. So it might be up or around there.
Oh, that's great.
Not sure she
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for that, and I think this is, it's, reimbursements for expenses for hot water and tanks, and it's a lot of money, and a lot of people have had to replace their tanks, and, so thank you very much for.
Yeah.
Know that,
We're
and
happy.
we'll get it posted, I promise, and if anybody has questions, email the town council and I'll forward the information to you until we get it posted, so.
Perfect. Really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too, thanks. And now we're going to jump to planning and coordinating committee report, okay? Industrial property on Gillespie. The owner reached out to us a few weeks ago telling us, and I commented on it at the last meeting, we were going to hear from the community. Well, there's an update on that. He reached out to us a few weeks ago telling us that he would like to sell the property, but wants to ensure it is sold to someone who will build something that works for the community. He said the property is not yet on the market. However, since the last meeting, when I made that announcement, a realtor has called him out of the blue, because it's still not listed, and said the clients want to pave the whole parcel with concrete, because he's a concrete contractor. It's the industrial property on Gillespie. There are two that are vacant. I'm not sure which one he owns. Both of them are in the flood zone though, so. And he wants to erect a 100 by 100 foot storage building that may have office and possibly retail space. He's also willing to stipulate in some sort of agreement with Mr. Semple that the use would be restricted. And he would like to know what the town council thinks about it. It's a little bit, that's a big thing. Yeah. And a lot of concrete. Yeah. Especially in a flood zone. I don't know that we can concrete a whole property flood zone. I don't know that that's allowed, but because we're looking at this cannabis thing, and remember the ordinance says any existing building can be used for any cannabis business. So supporting something like this is, I know, yeah. So I don't know. I told them that we would ask for community input tonight and talk about it, and I'll try to get back to him. But I'm not hearing a lot of, yay, that sounds like a great idea. It is industrial property.
No, we'll be right back. Yeah, we got locked out.
Okay.
We walked out and we put it back in.
Oh, it is.
But Jim says this comment.
Okay.
This time.
This time.
Okay. Yeah, because I just,
The amount of
yes, the concrete. Well, it's industrial property, and I don't think that the CSD has a lot to say about a number of things, but not on industrial zone property. And all of the industrial zone uses, every single one in this community violates it. And the county won't do anything about it. And now he wants to put in concrete, the whole, it's in a flood zone. But he's not allowed to under NEPDES, and he's gonna have to do some sort of, bioswale and retaining the water just under county standards, public works standards. So they said they want to concrete the entire parcel. He probably doesn't know the requirements, but I know for a fact public works is going to make them do a detention basin and bioswale. And we've always said we don't want concrete construction, right? We're supposed to have this bioswale thing. So Ruthie, this is involving the property down on Gillespie, the investor property I talked about in the last meeting. Property owner reached out to us and said, hey, I'm thinking about selling it. What would you guys like to see? And I can try to only pick those clients, or only pick those buyers that would do it. He was called, a realtor called him out of the blue because the property is still listed. Says that he wants to put concrete all over it. It's the industrial property on Gillespie, and erect a large 100 foot by 100 foot. Although on that parcel, I think this parcel is 100 foot by 100 foot, really small. I mean, you could put 1,000 foot by 1,000 foot, or maybe 400 foot by 400 foot. So, and he's asking for feedback on it.
Gillespie and what?
It's just on one of the industrial properties on the north side of Gillespie.
Undeveloped?
Yes, yeah, it's one of the few industrial properties, and
So next to the storage place.
yeah, there's storage places on both sides, so there's two. Yeah, there's two, yes, yeah, there's two parcels that, and I don't know which one he owns. Was it two separate spots? What's what?
Mayor.
No, Mr. Stemple, he's the gentleman.
Oh, Strumble.
Yeah, just Stemple, yes. He sold a lot of his property there in the Roxbury Canyon to the Nature Conservancy people. We work closely with them, you know, and we've had a lot of good dealings with them. But, yeah, so he's a really good guy. But
There's a number of buildings on there already. They look like they're old, like maybe agricultural.
well, because I was on the zone, there's two parcels that are zoned industrial that have nothing on them right now, just native grass.
I showed two that are vacant. One that's entirely vacant, one that's mostly vacant but has buildings on the southern part of it.
Oh, but he must own the one that's, okay, so we're supposed to be getting community feedback on this idea. Not hearing a lot of, hey, that sounds great. I missed what he was proposing or what Aspire was proposing. So he wants to put concrete, it's in a flood zone. He wants the whole thing, concrete cover the whole thing, which I don't think, like I said, saying, I don't think it'll be allowed to do. But he could cover a lot of the concrete and then a big building on it. And he wants to do, yeah, but I think it'd be bigger than that, because that doesn't make sense. To concrete the whole thing and put it in up with this little, unless he's gonna do outdoor storage. So, but he said it could be half office and retail space and then maybe a small bakery. But I mean, right, so. Does he, pardon me, does he realize it's probably gonna have to be built up? Yeah, isn't that what happened with like Ace Hardware and? Yeah, they all, and Dollar General was, isn't that the reason why they pulled out was the cost of building up? Because it's in a flood zone, and it flooded that, and the that area was, it was the heart reason why it was so flooded. Yeah. Yeah, that's a bad area. I don't know what we should tell them. Tell them it didn't get much feedback.
I think we should go talk to the county about the situation with wanting to concrete the whole thing. First of all, they're not gonna allow him to do that. I'm just speaking as a non-expert, whatever. So.
But, you know, we worked with Ace Hardware and they put, you know, permeable.
Right.
Down, so.
And they elevated, and if they could have they not elevated, they would have flooded with it.
Because everyone around it was.
I don't think he's been in the county yet too.
Okay, well, I'll just say that the idea of 100% concrete, whatever, and a lot of concerns about elevation and drainage, so.
He's aware of it.
It can also complicate for, like the storage place next door, it's already in a low flood zone, but if next door to you is all concrete, then you get. Yeah, that's why the county's permeable, yeah, because you can't, under state law, you can't change the direction of water flowing onto and off your property or change the flow rate. So he's going to have to, because it's in the flood zone, do something, so.
He needs to start with the county.
Well, but I think they just want to hear from us.
Yeah.
No, I understand. So, are we happy about 100%, as much concrete all over the place? I just need something done. Right, that was where it is. And a giant building that would probably fit the campus. Right, okay. All right, okay. So then the next agenda item is, cannabis ordinance. There are huge areas of action identified for cannabis businesses, and there are, now, when you read, if you have, I sent out the link to everybody, I don't know if you look at it, but if you pull up the map, it just says, oh, it's just for cultivation. But if you actually look at the presentation that was made, and will be made again in 2 days, I encourage people to go, you look and see everything that's allowed on what they call cultivation, it's actually every single piece. Sales, processing, storage, everything. So that means everything could be done. Oh, you know, retail sales, delivery sales, everything, micro business, all of it. So everything will be allowed. And so, you know, I think we need to comment on this. I don't think we've taken a position on it. You haven't agreed to write a letter on it, but it's very, very troubling. And particularly Supervisor Barber's motion in, I think it was in February of last year, directed these people, the DCBA, right, the business associate, whatever, county agency, directed them to use and ensure that they use buffers that are consistent with the current code standards. And in the code, we have buffers for residential uses, but they did not do that. They omitted all the buffers. And so let's hear a vote now. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so carried. All right, Cactus Creek. I don't know if we have anything on that, but we put it on the agenda. This, there was rumor, that's another reason I presume that it was actually being cleaned up and that people were moving out. And, but then it turns out that might not be true. So you want to talk about that, Pam? Well, I know that you had some information too, right, on Cactus Creek?
Just a little, just a little bit, but just that they were, the EPA or whatever was coming in, but there was a bunch of stuff being cleaned up out of there. But there are definite trailers, the big huge trailer in the front is gone. It's been, and then there's a couple little, they've been advertising Space 2 is available for 4 or 5 months now. But there's other little pockets that are now missing, like they were vans or trailers or whatever they were. They're actually out of there now too.
Well, that's good.
So the big one in the front is gone. It left probably last week, I think it was. Yeah. The big huge trailer that was in the front.
Yeah, it got moved. I do know that Mike and Debbie were the
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
good ones in there.
Yeah, exactly.
They were offered a job on a ranch, and so they were able to take their home and move it to the location.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I did spend some time in Cactus Creek walking around, talking to a few of the residents, and there's nothing been hauled out of there other than Mike and Debbie's home. And one of the residents in there told me that about a month or a month and a half ago, I don't have my notes with me, the owner came in and pumped the septic tanks. And he's no longer charging rent. He hasn't charged rent in several months. And it is listed for sale for $750,000. I think the owner is probably losing the property.
I don't know, state's property taxes in several years.
Yeah. So I don't know, I haven't had time to check that any further, Jackie, but I was going to check on that too, but.
I did hear from the EPA that they have a plan for getting to him.
Yeah.
And so, they're implementing the plan right now, because the judge did grant it, and so that was important.
But it looks like there's either roll-offs, dump trucks or something in there that are full of like branches, trash, like they loaded stuff up onto these trucks.
Yeah, when I drove by there, I saw just a lot of trash bags full of stuff on the outside. When you went by there later, they were gone. So it was like they are cleaning up.
There was
just
a
fire.
truck there that had a bunch of stuff in the back of it, like bags and big pieces of wood off the trees.
I think that was the truck that was parked in the front. And it was a friend of one of the residents, and he was just having his truck there temporarily.
Well, the whole place is just closed down, and I had a conversation with the guy at HCD, HCD's gonna do, HCD's not doing their job, they should have revoked this permit years ago. And they're like, well, if we revoke the permit, then we have to find homes for them. I said, first of all, I read the law, it does not say that. Second of all, you guys have $500 million in homeless funds. You can't find a place for 10 people? You know, it's like you haven't even tried to relocate them. So, I mean, they're just throwing all these roadblocks. That thing has to be revoked, and that's where we need to go with this. And so the HCD guy said he'd circle back, because I talked to him about him after the last meeting before this came. So, you know what, maybe what we should do is maybe we should have a motion, reach out and say, this is what the law says, this is what You don't have to do all of these things to revoke their permit. If you revoke their permit, they're still gonna stay there. Revoking their permit is just making it clear, because the Superior Court has already ordered it closed. The federal judge has already ordered it closed. So why is HCB refusing? This is just another one of the state bureaucrats that bureaucracies that need to be addressed. Refusing to revoke their permit, they shouldn't have one. So, you know what, maybe I will make a motion that we step into HCB, and I don't have to,
I wrote last word, to reach out and say
this permit needs to be revoked. Yeah.
Jackie, I do know that there's 3 people that moved out of there that lived at the back side of it, and they had gotten help from the county to help them with their drug problem, and they were offered some kind of housing in Lancaster.
And did they take it?
Yes, they did.
But then more people came into where they are.
I haven't proven that yet, but,
So that's why you just need the permit place, because people.
exactly.
They need to get the help, right? And then not in existing. Okay, all right, so, so I moved,
Yes.
Anybody second?
I can do that.
Ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Okay, motion carries. Next is, vets. There you go. Enjoy this, okay. All right, thanks, Jim.
When you're done, there's an end session button at the bottom middle of the screen.
Okay.
Just hit that and it closes.
Bottom middle, the red one?
Below that, it
Okay.
says end session.
Okay.
Hit that, on the screen, you're good to go.
He's leaving us,
And
signs us out, with us trying to shut it off, right?
No,
Yeah.
we can do it. Don't worry, Jim, we can do it.
Worst case scenario, you just leave it alone.
There you go.
Or we spend the night or whatever.
What I don't know.
Where's the food?
Cupcakes.
Okay.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye. All right, Beth, upcoming next week, October 29th, the franchise agreement for the transmission line to Humidor is going to go before the board of supervisors, and we have been blessed with funds. Thank you, Chuck, for helping make that happen. I got confirmation today from Yvonne, who is downtown, that it's a go. So we're going to go down and give our 1-minute comment on how we feel about the project. I fully expect that ordinance for the franchise agreement to be passed because it's the last piece of the approval. I'm sure it's just going to be passed. I'm just hoping that our comments will, everything we say that day will go into the record and will be supportive of our litigation, our lawsuit. So speaking of the lawsuit, October 17th, we had a pretrial hearing, and that went pretty well. The judge has been putting off setting a trial date because he was waiting for this franchise agreement to be adopted. So as much as we hate saying that thing adopted, it's like, let's get it out of the way so that we can move forward. So the court set us a new date for a hearing on January 16th, and we're hoping that that's the day we'll actually get a confirmation with the record being prepared and certified, and we'll get a date to report to the file. So that's
January what?
all the news. When?
January what?
January 16th,
16?
16.
And this is with the,
It's for the lawsuit. Here before. So, and the franchise agreement, it's a big deal, but we're gonna all go down there and just represent Acton and let them know that we still are hanging in. They're trying to wear us down. It's been a little over a year and a half now. We've been fighting this, and it's getting old. But the batteries aren't getting any safer. No, in fact, more fires, and as they age. Yeah. So these batteries, as they age, that protective barrier between the anode and cathode degrades over time. So people don't, realize this, but once your battery's pack is 5 to 10 years old, every year, every battery cell becomes more susceptible to what they're on. Which is fine if they build it into their price model that works, and if the battery's not in a place where people are, or in a high fire hazard, fine, but that's not. I mean, they're building solar farms and wind farms with integrated storage. Yeah. So there's no reason why in non-fire
Storage cannot be out and away from people. If you're going to utilize this battery technology, lithium-ion, lithium iron phosphate, either of those two, which are highly susceptible to fires and toxic on-gas in thermal runaway, there are technologies that, even if they caught fire because a brush fire roared through and it caught the facility on fire, these other batteries, like iron flow, iron air, and stuff, they wouldn't be toxic. And they also don't start burning on their own, so they don't have the fire-prone risk of the lithium-based batteries. Their performance is a little bit lesser right now, and for the developers, it's all bang for their buck.
But it's also available now.
Yeah, we get the bang.
They make the money.
CATL, that is one of China's biggest battery manufacturers, CATL. They just got busted for all kinds of labor law violations, and our government, is thinking of putting sanctions against CATL. And there was another company.
They just teamed up with Tesla, and that big manufacturer, the big plant there.
Yeah. And they've got all kinds of leaders and, like forced labor. It's sad. The Port of Montreal had a big fire at the port, and you see pictures of all the firefighters are in full PPE and BAs, and they're walking the streets and evacuating people, and all the residents are fully unprotected, right? Yeah. And I'm like, this is what it's all about. We don't have the PPE. We don't have the luxury of having protection.
On this issue, I want to step in here because I'm still going through the analysis. I'm almost done with the full analysis of this, what they've got. So what they said, and they're citing a report from 2017, okay? This is what the letter from Public Works says to the Board of Supervisors, that the fires best fires are the same as a sofa fire, and it said that puts out the same amount of toxics as a plastic fire. How